How are we doing? I am Nick, the owner of NK Active, and welcome to our new podcast. It's going to be a new thing that we're going to be releasing episodes, just chatting about the team we here have at NK Active, what we do, common conditions, different guests, but we'll chat more about that later, what's going to come up in future episodes. But with me today, I have Natalie.
Hello.
And we have then Charlie.
Hiya.
So Natalie is our exercise rehab specialist, and then Charlie's another podiatrist like myself. So I think today we're just going to give people a flavour. What is it like to actually come to NK Active, and what is it that us three actually do? Because we all do slightly different things. So NK Active, give you a bit of a background, really, is sort of my little baby, as it were. It started sort of what was known as Winchester Sports Podiatry, where it first started in Winchester, obviously. Then that evolved into NK Sports Podiatry, and at that time we were just renting different space out of Southampton and Basingstoke and Winchester area. And then we brought Natalie on board. So then when bringing Natalie on board, that's when we then merged it into NK Active. It wasn't just podiatrists we were employing anymore. And then at that time, that's when we then moved to this lovely building that we're all currently sat in now. And we sort of moved in, it'll be a year ago, in 7-8 days time, I think it is. So obviously we were open for 6 months. And then COVID happened, so we've been open for 6 months and then shut for sort of 3 months, and then now just coming out of that sort of lockdown period. So a bit about me. For people that don't know me, I'm a podiatrist by background, trained at Northampton, sort of fell into podiatry by mistake, was going to be a physiotherapist. Things didn't really go to plan during my A-level, shall we say. Then someone sort of said, what about podiatry? And I thought, what is that? I was 17 at the time, had no idea what it was. Went and shadowed a chap called Paul Harradine. At that time, I looked at a thing called Yellow Pages, and back then Yellow Pages was about that thick, and not even sure they exist anymore. Went and shadowed him and thought, no, do you know what? Really like what you're doing. Where did you go study? Northampton. Northampton has some spaces in clearing, and the rest is history. And I sort of always had that passion around sort of what we call musculoskeletal injuries, so the sort of muscles and tendons and bone problems and whatnot, and played a lot of exercise and sport myself, and over time then just progressed. Just finished my master's, about to publish first study in looking at shin pain in runners. So that's me. So sort of, Natalie, tell us about sort of your journey and how you've got to where we are now.
So I studied my undergrad at Hertfordshire University, and I did sports therapy. Like yourself, I kind of fell into it. I knew I wanted to stay in the sports industry, and it wasn't until I decided that I wanted to go to uni, I looked at courses, and the sports therapy course just stood out to me by a mile. So I went for the interview, luckily got a place at my first choice, did 3 years there, and I was also fortunate enough to do a sandwich year. So between my second and third year, you can go and do a year's experience. So I actually went to Australia, experienced the Western Australian cricket team and Perth Glory, which is a soccer team out there. Had an absolutely amazing time, and that sort of set me up for my third year. So went back, finished, and then I had a year out of working. And then I decided to do my master's in sport and exercise medicine, which I'm literally just about to finish. And then it was last year I was looking for a job, and I came across the application for NK Active, and it sounded right up my street. And then got the interview, and then
So then what was it made you saw that? What was it you decided that actually NK Active is where I want to?
I think it was your whole ethics of injury prevention, injury rehabilitation. A lot of people who I've previously been with haven't solely focused on the rehab side, and for me, I found that has been the most beneficial throughout the whole process that I've been through, and I've seen patients the same sort of way. And the way that you structured it just fitted my the way that I wanted to work.
And then I think you're also missing out another big part of your life, which isn't AIMCA active related, but you rather enjoy running, cycling and swimming.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of triathlon. I've been fortunate enough to represent Great Britain, so I did that last year. Got a silver at the Europeans, which I was super happy with. Was meant to be doing it this year, but obviously COVID's hit, so that's sort of taken a year out. But yeah, keen to get back and carry on.
And then also with yourself, were there any sort of mishaps and injuries along the way?
Yes, there were. So I suffered from a stress fracture in my navicular, December the 14th to be exact.
It's a good job you work with a team of podiatrists.
Exactly,
getting a foot
yeah.
fracture.
So I was actually seen by yourself, and yeah, you've taken me through the whole process. You've treated me like a patient, so I've seen that side of things, and I've received the care that our patients would receive, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the process. Well, some of it. It's been ups and downs, but
There's
yeah.
been a few tears on the way.
A lot of tears. But yeah, no, I can safely say that I'm now back to running full time, and back on track to where I would have been.
Good stuff. And you know, I think that would actually make a nice little podcast on its own, is going through that whole journey of sort of you're not sort of the practitioner, you're the patient, and just flipping it on the head, so then people can then see that process and know that you've gone through that process.
Yeah, and I think it helps me relate to people that are going through the same process, because sometimes you don't understand, the mental side of things in an injury, especially if you haven't been through one.
Oh, for me, when I ruptured my ankle ligaments, I seriously do think when I was out from hockey for, I think it was 12 to 14 weeks, I think there must have been a point where my wife was near enough just going to divorce me, because I get so grumpy if I'm not doing exercise or sport. So,
no, exactly the same.
Same. So yeah, and Charlie, then tell us about your journey into how you've got to where you are.
So I knew I wanted to be a podiatrist when I was 10 years old. So,
really?
Yep. So I knew that was what I wanted to do. So geared all of my kind of teaching career towards that. Completed my degree at the University of Southampton, and then kind of never left them, and stayed to do a PhD along the route as a clinical academic. So I combined clinical practice with completing my studies, and along that pathway I found you, Mr. Nicholas. So I got to spend some time with you, and then fell in love with this part of podiatry. And my area of research and interest was in why does the foot work that way? Why do muscles behave that way? How do we diagnose and how do we manage patients effectively? So coming to a place where I could see the theory and practice was really quite important. So once I finished my PhD studies, it meant that actually I wanted to still be the researcher, but also be the clinician. And I got to work here. You said yes.
And it's sort of super embarrassing for me in a way, because
don't remember me, do you?
No.
You can't even remember.
No, I don't.
I had that much of an effect on you.
When I was working for the NHS, I think you said you come and sat in, you were a student, and I honestly,
we had over 30 hours of mentorship time together that you do not remember.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
So it was either amazing or traumatic.
Yeah, it's and then what do you then obviously talk us about what you then do outside of work? Because obviously you don't do triathlons, but you do other things.
Yeah, so you lot do all that running jazz, which is just too complicated for my little body. But nope, I'm more of a keen walker. Towards cake and tea is always a good outcome. I'm into surfing, cycling. I'm a gym goer, and I like to lift weight. So I've got hypermobility, and so lifting weight helps me manage my symptoms.
And that is, I think, a really important point, is actually being that increased flexibility and actually lifting weights. I think there's still this stigma out there, isn't there, that if you're flexible, the amount of people with hypermobility we see in clinic who actually are then still doing stretches, you're thinking actually you're super supple anyway. The last thing you need is more flexibility. You just need to get
and it's that
stronger.
Education, isn't it? It's about getting people to understand their condition, which I think is one of the values that we have here. We give you time to be able to ask those questions, to have those moments while you try things. Some of them fail, some of them succeed, and we're there to kind of support you along your journey.
And it's interesting that you say that you like lifting weights, but it's then trying to then break this persona that you lift weights on a regular basis, but you don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's sort of
No, thank goodness.
So then, what then sort of attracts you to the whole NK Active side of things?
Oh, so I'm a little bit of a data nerd, and I like to be able to see what happens in practice and then be able to work out why things work that way. And I guess being here, there was this lovely opportunity where we didn't know whether we were doing okay and what patients were going through. And so I think being able to use my academic skill set as well as my clinical skill set and then combining them together and then us being, I guess, innovative and creative has been quite a lovely thing. So we've brought all three, I think, aspects
Yeah, and
together.
I think that's, I don't know, I'm going to be biased because it is my little clinic, but I think it's one of our big USPs is that we do collect all our own data and we'll audit, and if we're not performing on something or we see, we'll just
we can change it.
And I sort of think about this journey we've been on the year since being in this lovely building, how much things have actually changed over that year already, and a lot of that's just come back from our data set that we're collecting.
And I guess credit to you as well, that ability to see a friction-free, slick service. And guess I can be that person that can help you and support you as well as Natalie to deliver that. And I guess that's quite exciting. And then I guess the love of having patients and meeting lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds with lots of different goals and being able to take them from being kind of bit grumpy, teary, hobbly to actually being able to do their dream goal and sometimes having a different goal. I think that's quite nice. That's the bit I'm enjoying at the moment is they start with goal 1, but we're definitely on goal 3, maybe 4 now by the time they finish with us, and that's quite a a nice
since
day of
when
work.
we asked them at the beginning of the process, what's your goal, what's your aim? So then I think also then what we want to try and do in these podcasts is try and let people know what is it like coming to NK Active. So what do we think that our sort of USPs or things that we do really well are, you two?
For me personally, I think that we have a good rapport with our patients. So we always sort of check in to make sure they're okay. If they've got any worries or queries, they're always able to talk to the person they're working with or someone else if we're not around. So they always know that they've got us there if they need us. And we follow them through the whole process. And then we do, a 6-month checkup after they've had their safe rehabilitation package. And then they always know that they can come back to us and that we have all their records on detail and they can trust us. And I think that's a really important thing that we have is a lot of trust from our patients.
I think it's probably the way that you've structured the whole experience. So getting to us, you're in a really lovely environment. We have fields, we have cows, we have the sunshine most days. It flies. No. And then as you walk through the door, you're greeted by everyone in the team. It's a lovely open space. It's a space to come and work. It's a space of calm. And then, you have access to all of us and all of our facilities. You're not withheld from anything, which I think is really quite lovely. And we're able to select the interventions and treatments that we need to make sure that we get you where you wish to be. And I think being able to have that choice and ability to use the latest technology or the thing with the most amount of evidence to get that person back to wellness in whatever form that looks like is something really important.
Yeah, and I think it's just that part, also that education, isn't it? That we try and educate everyone along the journey on how to manage problems.
Yeah, and we tailor
themselves.
it specific to them, I think.
Yeah, and it is teaching people that, okay, you've got an injury, got a problem, but then actually how we can then educate people to overcome that and then arm them with the tools to then reduce the risk of it then coming back again. So what do we then think is... Well, I like my kits and I like my gadgets. What do you guys, what's the favourite bit about the whole clinic here?
For me, it starts with being able to put people on their baseline. So we're able to do all the strength testing and assessments that we need to show you where you are today, and then be able to take you through your journey to the point of when you last have your appointment with us to then show you where you've come from, and being able to show change and your impact as a result of that, and then continuing to follow that up to a year later, I think is invaluable. And that's not just within our own little community here, but to the wider health community that we serve. And I think that's a lovely thing.
Yeah, I'm much the same. I think having the data there and actually showing a patient where they've started to where they've got now is a great thing to do, and for us to actually show people that, and then they can sort of judge for themselves of where they've come. I think.
Yeah, and I think all of them really helps us then from a clinical aspect of our data collection as well, because then we can say, okay, look, you've got 50, 60, 80, 100% stronger on testing. Does this then, does that mean we then got you to that point where you then achieve your goals because you've now got that new level of strength, or you're functioning differently, or anything along those lines? For me, I do like the 3D gate stuff. For anyone that's not aware of it, we basically, if you think Planet of the Apes and Avatar, we have the ability here to stick loads of markers to your lower limb and basically build a skeleton of yourself. And just sort of, we had a patient once sort of describe it as an MRI of how you can run. So I think what I really like about that side of things is that it's not my opinion of, I think you're running, I think you're walking in a certain way. This is the data, and then it's the key part is to then link that back to any problems. And I think the only thing you've got to be really careful is that you just don't go looking for problems, because I think if you stuck every single person through a 3D gate analysis, you would find issues with a lot of people, but actually a lot of the time those issues aren't actually related to any symptoms whatsoever. So obviously we're lucky to have a gym on site. I think we're one of the few clinics that have a 3D gate system, Shockwave and a gym all under one roof. We all love the gym. What's your one bit of favourite equipment in the gym?
Ooh, I really like the Smith machine.
This is like
personally.
massively off script. I haven't planned any
Yeah,
of this.
no, I really like the Smith machine. I think you can do so much with it, and it's assisted as well. So, you know, if I'm here on my own, I don't have to get the squat rack out. I can do it on the Smith machine, and yeah, I can do, you know, calf raises, squats, split squats. So yeah, that'd be my choice to take home.
I love the step box. There's always a bit of equipment at home that can be used like a step box.
I wasn't expecting that. The step bar.
I know. There you go. That's it.
For me, it has to be the seated calf raise.
Yeah, we know that's your favourite.
That was, when planning the clinic, that was the first bit of equipment that I
Must have.
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we see so many, being sort of a mainly lower limb injury clinic, we see so many calf, Achilles, plantar fascia issues, and they've all got that weakness in soleus. And soleus is that small muscle. Well, it's not a massively small muscle that sits behind the gastrocnemius, which is that sort of big, showy calf muscle there. And that's the one that we think is actually really important when it comes to calf, plantar fascia, Achilles problems. So I think what we want to try and do with future episodes is line up some guest speakers, previous patients, hoping to get Caroline French from French's Shoe Shop to come and we can have a chat all things footwear related, because I'm constantly being told off by my wife for buying too many running shoes. Going off tracks, like I recently got a set of the Saucony Endorphin Pros. My wife said to me, "Oh, well, how'd you get those?" I said, "Well, I emailed Saucony, and they then just sent them to me." And then a day later, I said, they did send me an invoice as well. So I didn't quite get away with that one too much. But yeah, and then we've planned like chat about different problems that you may have. So different lower limb conditions, different sports that you're interested in, chatting about possibly interesting cases we have in clinic. But it's actually then asking you guys, people listening and watching to this, is there any topic you want us to chat about so you can learn? And we're all up for educating here. We all have a tagline here of, when you leave, we'd say, we hope we never see you again, in the nicest possible way, because we want to get people to the point where they can manage it themselves. And actually, if we can do things that could prevent you coming to need to see us in the first place, that's even better. So I think that brings our first podcast to a wrap. But don't forget to subscribe. If you've got any comments, we'd love to hear from you. Like and share. If you want to find us on Facebook, just search for NK Active. We're NK Active Clinics on Instagram. So if you want to drop us an email, just inquiries@nkactive.co.uk. But lastly, just want to say massive thank you to Natalie and Charlie for coming on and just having a chat about what we do here. Have you two got any last things you want to add that you think I've missed or anything?
No, don't think so.
All right.
No? Perfect. Great stuff. We'll see you all on the next episode. Ta-ra.